Any other old business? One old or new? You can just move on to new business.
It's the greatest yes. Good evening, Scott. Thank you guys for speaking. Just kind of follow-up question from our last conversation. Were you plans to have any type of town hall meeting where you can gauge additional community feedback on the project? And along with that, has Energy contacted you all regarding their planned community outreach big meeting that was teased earlier?
No, I've not had any contact since the last meeting.
I had a Zoom meeting with them, but it was just to get my feelings on the project. And basically, they wanted to go over some things that happened in the last meeting. The main thing that they want to discuss if we were fully aware of the intervenor process and they wanted to give us their viewpoint on the legislation and how that might affect. When I left that call, they said they were going to call both the other two board members, whether they did or not, I don't know.
The data reach out.
I got a call at any Zoom meeting.
They reached out, I didn't return their call yet.
So then, as far as I know, any communication with any residents I've been made aware of regarding any community outreach meeting like they discussed. I don't know if they're on the call today. So then, had you guys considered any more having any type of either small town hall meeting in a situation like this, or any additional public notices through your normal channels? It's my understanding that any town halls or anything like that are automatically decision-free to advertise in the newspapers. In the news media, if they're official coming to you guys versus someone like me who have to pay for it.
During that Zoom, is anybody online on the Zoom call?
I don't see anybody.
They, in that call, they told me that they were going to have their community outreach meeting on April 9th. And they were going to have it at a hotel within 10 miles. And, you know, it's up to them to put the meeting together. I didn't get any time for anything of that. They just told me that it was going to be April 9th and they were going to set up the meeting now. I don't know if that's still on or what. My own personal feeling on a town hall meeting would be, I want to wait until they have that meeting to find out and get their viewpoints on the whole project, what they want to do with the screening, what their plans are to the good neighbor agreements, who's affected, who's not affected, and that not. Now, they did send some visuals. Did you guys receive those? I'd have to go back and look on my email about those visuals and see who it's addressed to. But other than that, I'm waiting to get more information on that. It's kind of hard for me to justify a public meeting for something that the board doesn't have a legal vote on. So what would you hope to get out of a town hall type meeting?
Well, so far, again, I don't think you get for it. We have pledged to interact with our meeting in case. As stated before, there's no requirement that you actually intervene per se in the legal proceedings, but you're reserving your spot to do so if you see fit. if you don't have a good idea of what the community wants at large, then what would you base any testimony either for or against the project on? I guess this would be the big question I have for you. The only way that I can foresee you having that information as to how your constituents would like to be represented be via some sort of form of feedback, and whether it be opening up public comments directly through you, through a website, or via the use of the town hall.
Like I said, it's too early in my opinion for that. And I want to go to their meeting, see what they're presenting and see what they're representing. I will tell you that some of the people that I've talked to, come through and, they're getting some misinformation. And, I've asked a couple of people that had no signs in their yard, I said, I'm assuming you're against the project. And then and one of them told me, no, not really, we just want to upset the neighbors. So I'm not saying that to all of them. I say there's a strong, no group out there. But I don't know what the end game. What is the end game? Is your group trying to stop the project?
Absolutely not.
And so my goal would be to do whatever we can to come up with an acceptable agreement with an infinity set on the setbacks and what the setbacks, truly are, and the screening, and so that everybody can come to that agreement now without being able to talk to the people at their public hearing. I don't know what questions to ask. And as far as being an intervener, my understanding of being an intervener is it just gives the intervener the authority to question witnesses. So, which in my opinion is a good thing. Now, my goal is to stay neutral in this process. And my reasoning for that is that I believe this is going to be an issue that is going to be split pretty much straight down the middle. And this township, I totally respect the people on Manan Road that do not want to look at this project out their back door. This township has a lot of elderly people in it. And that project, from an economic development standpoint, is going to increase the property value of that land right now that is currently farmland. And by that increase in that value, it's going to increase the tax amounts that's generated to property taxes. And it's going to extend, in my opinion, it's going to extend the life of the school levy. It's going to extend the life of the fire levy. And it's going to extend the life of the Franklin County, most of their police departments that have levies on the ballot in the library. This is an economic development project that has no adverse effects, and very little adverse effects. I've seen nothing. But hang on, you'll get a chance to talk. So like I said, it's too early. I've seen the property value of it. I've had discussions with the defenders to see, if somebody's really adversely affected and doesn't want to live there, there's a possibility of you buying them out, buying their houses. I didn't get a direct answer from that. So there again, I'm waiting on that project.
I'd like to address some of those points you just made briefly. One, being intervener inside the board, you're not just there to ask questions, you provide testimony. So again, if, for example, like has happened in many other townships, township can voice opinion as a board representing constituents. It's not simply questions. site plan. Regarding the benefit to the community, the benefit that they advertise, a number of these programs, all of them, is based on pilot payments and new taxes. Currently, all their agricultural land is getting a reduced tax rate. What they do is they forfeit that existing agricultural benefit, if I'm understanding correctly, and you go to pilot instead. Unlike taxes that we all pay, the pilot is essentially a 30-year fixed payment. From what I've seen, they have been trying to clarify and iron out specifically to make sure that the payments go to where they promise to go, so for the schools. Ironically, it actually takes you out of the equation because it goes to the county instead of to the township. So the benefits of the pilot program, I think, are maybe debatable, again, because it's not at all tied to inflation. There's no way to levy against it additional. It's 30-year fixed, and that is not here. Regarding property values themselves, the developers that are operating the way that energy is operating all have the same exact program. They all have appraisers that have temporary licenses for the state, and they use the same exact property value evaluation for all of the projects. Now, this same property value evaluation, if you've looked at their filing, has been used in areas that have population density of basically 1 per 30 miles. Farmhouses don't know. We are in a uniquely situated area here where we've got direct access to downtown Columbus in 30 minutes. We've got a similar demographic to a lot of built up in wealthier areas, tax-based wise, in the city. We just haven't been developed to quite that level yet. But those are the costs are actually compared to my house with my access to a major metropolitan area. That's a way different cost than what they provide in their application. Regarding the testimony progress of the bill and House and Senate testimony, there was very compelling testimony. It's actually opponent testimony. So against the bill, but by a number of industry leaders and other developers who specifically called out the tactics used by companies like Invenergy regarding all the things that all of us are going to be most complaining about. I really am good with this lawsuit. I think it's not very power dense. I think there's much better ways to use the land in Ohio because we have to sell the property. But if the landowner wants to convert their agricultural land to solar because they see a net positive economic result from it, and there are some good cases that were made during the presentation saying, hey, I don't have a steady income base based on agricultural products. That is always fluctuating. 5,000 acres, 2,000 acres, certainly per year of solar on my property, I can leverage that. That's guaranteed. It's a sound financial decision. Always diversify. The issue is that they receive a benefit at our expense, and land developers that are actually working with communities to put these in property acknowledge that effect. So one of the best testimonies, that was third testimony and fifth testimony of the 6 hours that happened a couple days ago, that land developer specifically goes out, brings with them landscape architect. As part of their filing submission, they actually do what Invenergy claims to be doing. It goes above and beyond the requirements of the siting law, and they present a full, robust vegetation program that specifically addresses each individual home that's affected by the project. And they voluntarily work with each individual landowner on setbacks. Do you have a pool? What is your egress and egress to your property? Do you have a 2-story house? Do you have a 1-story house? All these things are addressed. All that is front-loaded directly into the siting board application from the get-go.
So I hear everything you said, and that's basic. You've done a lot of research. I'll grant you that, but it is just your opinion. And you've been up here for 15 minutes now, so I'm giving you 5 more minutes. So please make whatever points you want to make in these 5 minutes. We got meeting rules that say that each resident is supposed to give 5 minutes. You've got 15, so please finish up in 5 minutes.
I guess if your opinion is that floating testimony is deemed, my opinion, what actual video clips provided for the testimony. Again, opposing the bill that I asked you all to support, with that, what kind of data, what other things can I provide you to help maybe balance out the information that you receive? Because it's not, there is a lot of misinformation. A lot of people have interesting stories about radio, magnetic interference, things like that. Those things are largely dispelled. There is a real worry and an honest concern. It's been shelled out throughout all the other states that have solar. And there's a reason why the bill is going to the House Senate, because windmills are obviously much harder. You can't screen it. So it is a legitimate concern. And that is above all else. I want everyone to be as responsible with their land as possible, just not at my expense. My freedom stops where it infringes upon yours, and vice versa. I honestly don't care what I look out and see in front of my window. I move in, I see truck traffic, and farming, all kinds of activities. It's noisy, it's lousy, but you know what? It's the country. I'm fine with whatever you want to do. I don't care. As long as it doesn't negatively affect my property values and my nest egg. If I had $1 billion, I would buy the land. I go buy the land further in, that's for sale right now. I go park my hat and I put a fence up, but I wouldn't see anything. I don't have $1.2 million. I have dollars. And again, is there anything I can do that data-wise that I can present to you guys that I can back up in my opinion with actual fact and might help sway you to at least consider taking the opinions of the concerns of your constituents into some sort of consideration? Or anything about it?
I believe the more information we have, the better. And I read everything else. I don't read everything. I haven't read the whole 20, how many pages of the application there is, but I do glance at the site every day. And I read the letters of, the support, the opposition. I also have some experience with, House bills and Senate bills and getting them passed. And the last, I've been really disappointed in that process also. You're talking to the wrong board. I mean, it's the state of Ohio, the city board that you need to go to. And ultimately, the guy that has the final decision is the governor. And because all these bills can pass the House, they can pass the Senate, and everything that in the government can veto. It's happened to us before. So I don't want you to get your hopes up that some House bill is going to be, to save the project. I do believe that, I told you before, I think that both those House bills, the local authorities should have some input on them. But at the end of the day, the input that we're going to have will be zoning input, and the majority of the input will be setback lines. And some of the setback lines, I don't know what's going to be the acceptable number. I know that's out there right now. They're saying 100 feet from property line, 300 foot from residence. And I know looking at your house, that number is 500-800 foot away from the closest fence. And from what I heard from Infinity is that the good neighbor agreements are currently, there's only people that are abutting the property. And you're on the other side of the road. So I don't even know what to do, if they're offering good neighbor agreements to you. I don't know what the end game is. And you tell me, but I have not got my mind made up one way or the other. I have a really hard time getting past the personal property rights issue. And if Mr. Galbraith, Mr. Wilson want to increase the value of their land, they should be free to do it as long as they don't have a negative impact on the neighbors. And where's that?
Maybe no mistake about it, I don't have any hopes around the House Bill 118 in its door. Again, having you guys support it would help push the ball on that front. The biggest thing I'm concerned with, the reason why I've now read 5 of these filings through completion, thousands of page documents, because I stand to lose the most from this project being directly in front of me, and the people around me being directly in front of me, because just because I might be 800 feet away from the solar panels, if I go to sell my home or if I stay there for the duration of my life, children go to sell a home or usually stay across the area established to buy a house. So just because I might not have solar panels on 3 sides of my property like other neighbors around me do, I'm still going to be negatively affected by that situation. And so if you're worried about, neighbor property rights and back and forth, consider this. Let's say all the solar panels go away and every single one of us that is around the project area plants green suits of trees that grow to 40, 60 feet in the matter of years. Now these solar panels will be shaded. And shaded solar panels, you get full shade on a small solar panel unit. That causes a difference of voltage. They can short out the complex system. So now we would be then affecting business. And again, this goes back to me asking for zoning to be established for anything less than 50 megawatts, which is well under your backyard. Because every other state in the country that has been doing solar for a while has all these rules because it's exactly this. Well, Joe Schmo planted a tree. I've got solar panels on the roof and now I'm getting my bill. My electric bill's not $50 a month. It all ends up back in this kind of stuff. So it's not like, again, it's not that the project, the project probably can't be stopped, honestly. But the issue is how much does it negatively affect everyone else that's in this community? And I'm sorry, if property values start tanking, that's going to affect your bottom line, it's going to affect the community's bottom line. Because let's say this goes through as is, and half of us decide to jump out and sell whatever we can. There goes all your tax base. Granted, if he's making that property, so he's going to make millions of dollars over the course of 40 years, if the project lasts that long. But what about the people that actually, that are supposed to be part of the community that take, give and take, small business owners, people that have communities. So that's there's a couple of filings I would love to pull out some key documents for so you can compare them. And basically, you've got when you look at best practices example in the Ohio side board company and how they are approaching the community, and everyone is still making a bunch of money, and the surrounding community basically had no objection to the project going in because they were taken care of. It's like
We're not there yet. I mean, we got to get through their meeting first. Do you agree? You got to get through their April 9th, because hopefully this will happen. I don't know. But that open meeting, so they actually are supposed to have pictures of the setbacks and work with neighbors and actually see what the neighbors want, is my understanding of that meeting.
So unless they're doing additional due diligence and spending more money on the project, everything they're going to show us has already been presented as part of their Ohio State Board submittal or as part of their regional information. Unless they're spending a lot more money in preparing us, everything is going to be right for us.
Let's wait until the April 9th meeting. Okay. And then I know somebody else wanted to speak, so.
If I didn't cover my mouth, then.
Thank you.
I apologize.
Oh, you're good.
Mr. Chairman, we do have Jeff Patterson. Jeff Patterson, I believe.
Okay.
If anyone know if you can respond.
Okay.
Jeff, are you with us?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep.
All right, good. There's a little bit of an echo in the room, so I'm not sure I heard every point that was brought up. that's fine. There are just a few things I want to address, and I want to be respectful of your time. I'm not going to, speak for very long, but I do want to just address some things. I'm certain at this point that the trustees are aware of the many benefits this project will have to the local community, the county, and the state as a whole, with $30 million going to local schools. And if we're taking the view of constituents into account, I think it's absolutely important to ask students and teachers how that money could help our local schools. As in terms of property values, the appraiser that we used for the documents that were submitted to the OPSB is licensed in Ohio. This isn't an amateur. He inspected this project location. He used data from all over the country and similarly situated solar communities to come to his conclusion. And I encourage everybody to look at our application and just look at the findings for yourself. I think it's better to inspect those than just to hear the same answer we've given many times on this matter. In regards to the legislature, I attended the House and the Senate hearings yesterday. I do not believe that Invenergy was specifically referenced in any of the negative testimony that was given. As far as the intervener process goes, we did have a discussion with an expert on the process. She was the chief of staff for the OPSB for almost a decade. And for those residents that are concerned about the opportunity for public comment or to be heard at a public meeting, those processes are built into the OPSB period where individuals will have the opportunity to attend a public meeting. Individuals have the opportunity to submit comments to the OPSB, and those comments are taken very seriously. And Invenergy would have to answer questions that are presented at the meeting or in those comments. And these options are free to residents, whereas it could be very costly for the township or an individual to seek independent legal counsel to go through these proceedings. In terms of a more casual public forum, we have offered to attend any community meeting that residents wish to hold, but we have not received an invitation to attend a meeting like that. As has been mentioned, we are having our meeting on April 9th. It's going to be at a local hotel in the area. There will be stations with experts on technology of the project, the environmental impact, the community impact, and the design. And it will be an open house setting. And we are encouraging good faith discussions on everything related to this project. Invitations in the mail will be going out, and you should receive that early next week with the specifics of the location and the time that we're expecting residents to come due to COVID protocols. And, just because we want everybody to have the opportunity to come and ask questions and get answers about this project, we are having time slots. And we hope that individuals respect those time slots just so everyone has a chance to be heard on this matter. But this meeting should come as no surprise because we have mentioned this open house is coming, and it's going to be on April 9th. We have mentioned that at other township meetings. And so far, no residents have followed up with any questions about that meeting or any of the specifics that we have mentioned. And I leave my contact information in the chat every time I attend these meetings, and I will absolutely do so again. And any questions can be sent to me. I'm happy to discuss anything about this project. At that meeting, and this is something we've been doing the whole time, we are actively seeking input on setbacks and view shed. And we are being told that individuals have been cautioned to not speak to us individually about their concerns with the project. So I don't fully understand when we are asked to provide the opportunity for input when that is actively what we have been doing since this project was introduced. Josh is also available to discuss this project if anyone wants to hear it from someone who has a great technical understanding of the entire process. It's just a matter of hearing from folks directly so we can handle their independent concerns for their own properties. There is a great amount of misinformation and we are actively working to set the record straight on that. In fact, Josh had a conversation today with the county engineer. It was a long meeting where he assured the county engineer that we are coordinating with the county on replacing drain tile mains in the area. We're still working to survey and map the drain tile laterals in the area. And we are, again, soliciting information from local and adjacent landowners. And our project will go through local civil permitting reviews along with Ohio EPA reviews. And once he clarified those points, the county engineer and his team were very excited about the project. And if you want to reach out to him personally to be sure of that, I encourage you to do so. You know, I hope that people will come to us with questions, because a lot of these concerns I feel like could be handled with a simple phone call and an email. And again, we are providing an opportunity for in-person discussions on this, whether it's at the April 9th meeting, or if you want me or someone else to come to your home, speak to you and a few of your neighbors, we're absolutely happy to do that. And we've extended that invitation many times. And we'll continue to do so, because we do think it's important to engage the community and to hear from everybody to make this project the best it can be. And I hope folks will continue to reach out as we go through this process. And, you know, again, happy to answer any questions if you just want to give me a call.
I got a question for you right now. So do you know the address, the time, the place, the open house?
Yes, all that's been set in stone. I don't have the address on hand, but I believe it's the Wyndham Suites, and we have a pretty wide time range set out. But again, I want to send out that information separately, because we are trying to keep these time slots so that folks from Pleasant Township can attend and ask questions, folks from Prairie Township and other local stakeholders in separate meetings, just so we can handle the volume of folks who may appear and have concerns. And it is April 9th.
Who are the invitations going to?
I know that we are definitely going to be sending invitations out to all of the residents that are close to the property, that are closest to the property. So make no mistake, everyone on Mernan Road will be invited to this event. Cool Wine, Alton, you know, and we're extending the invitation to the community at large. We're going to be reaching out to all the local schools, PTA, PTSA groups. It is an open invitation. We're not saying, you know, there are people that can't come. It's just a matter of being able to get in touch with everybody, which we are attempting to do.
So Jeff, are you doing a mailing to all residents in Prairie Township?
I'm not sure if that's been decided yet. I know that we are just trying to target the major project areas, but I believe that the last discussion was reaching out to about 10,000 residents. And we're hoping that there is going to be some organic discussion and more invitations from others to tag along.
Yes.
This OPSB, is that what you said? I don't know. Is that what that was for the period where everybody can ask questions? So I believe, is that what that was?
Yeah, so Ohio siding is what it is. I believe that's what it was referring to.
Director Preston. Or is that to know something?
Are you willing to take a question from the audience, Joe?
Who's asking?
Trustee Kennedy's asking in the questions coming from Mr. Newberry.
Sure. I mean, I can answer a question.
Hey there, buddy. I'm Scott Newberry. We've met in person. You've been out to my property. You have my phone number, my email address. I've talked to Josh. He has my phone number, my email address, my personal address. I'm voicing concerns at these meetings because I've been trying to talk to y'all. And we've been doing our due diligence regarding your submittal, and you're just saying the same thing that's in the submittal. So you know where I'm at. Me and 70 some odd of my closest township friends talk a lot. Let's chat. We're not telling anyone not to talk to you guys. If a lot of residents have talked to their own personal lawyers, lawyers have advised that the contracts are not terribly conducive to their best interests. I can't speak to that because I'm not an off contract. I have no dog in the fight. But if you want to do all this community outreach, right here, come say hi, especially if you're still in the area. That's all.
Anybody else have any questions for the Infinergy guy?
I would like to know.
Can we get your name?
Matt Knight.
Matt, what's the last name?
Knight.
Knight, okay.
Yes. I live at 6834 Alpine. I am between local farms and Philippines. If I want to do something to my, I have to go to you or to the township and say, hey, this is what I propose. And you have to approve it. Is the same consideration being given to the benefit? Constant setbacks, constant foliage, are they given to you for approval? And if not, why not? I have to anyway.
It's a state project, and state projects come township projects. State projects comes township zoning. No,
And I do apologize.
no, you're fine. Anybody else have anything for?
Is he going to comment on that?
What's that?
Consistent setbacks for all properties? Or are we doing this piecemeal property to property?
Our zoning codes address setbacks on any township project. And depending on what zone you're in, if you're in a residential zone, or I don't know what the setbacks are in an agricultural zone.
And they're exempt from both township and county zoning, but the setbacks that I've seen are further than what our requirements are within the zoning code. So they're already, not that they have to comply with it, but they are already meeting or exceeding our setback requirements.
And it's probably going to prove. I mean, what exactly something on my property? We built that home specifically for the long-term care system. So it's where we need to be.
Any questions? Anybody else have any questions for Guy? Okay, thank you, Jeff. Anybody online have anything else?
No.
Is there any other thing for the board before we close this meeting? Yes. Hang on.
Hi, my name is Ryan Matthews. COVID 7528 was Brosnan. And I just wanted to address a role with my concerns with property values. And specifically, I read the Infinergy report on these property values. And I fail to see how I can take their word with no impact on property value when my property is completely incorrectly listed in the report. So it's incorrect zoning, incorrect owner, incorrect information on the property. Now, in this process, I did reach out to Infinergy to directly inquire about the property values in the study. And I never received a straight answer until the report was published. I did ask who was producing the report, to which I was only provided with third party was their answer. I'm also not a fan of, with all the information that I have now, that I bear 100% of the risk
100% of the law.
100% of the risk. So if they're wrong, I'm the one that's out. Thank you. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you.
I'm actually happy to send the full OPSB report on our property value study if someone would like that.
Would you like that report? Okay. He said he already had it, Jeff.
Oh, okay, great, thanks.
Nancy, you have something?